Welcome to the Falls Count Everywhere podcast. Get ready for episode number 49 of the Falls Count Everywhere podcast as we welcome longtime Midwest ring veteran and current American Championship Wrestling heavyweight champion, Zero Height, Guy Smith. Within the last couple of weeks, the Midwest independent wrestling scene had lost two great retired ring veterans. Thomas Richmond, otherwise known as Izzy Blackwell, suddenly passed away on August 30th. Izzy is survived by his wife Jen, daughter Marissa, son and third-generation wrestler Damian Blackwell, and a large wrestling community that came to him for guidance in the wrestling business. Izzy was 53 years old. Christopher Limp, otherwise known as Chris Sins, passed away this past Labor Day due to health complications. Sins was known for his unique hardcore wrestling style inside the ring. Chris is survived by his son and other immediate family. He was 42 years old. Tonight, the Falls Count Everywhere podcast would like to pay their respects with a 10-bell salute, followed by a moment of silence as we remember both Izzy Blackwell and Chris Sins. We thank all of you joining us for tonight's episode of the Falls Count Everywhere podcast. Before we get underway, we pay honor, tribute, and respect to the greatest nation in the world as we play our national anthem.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for their ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Ruby, we can't hear you.
And there I go again. I can't hear myself again. Here we go. How's that? Is that a little? That should be a little bit better.
Well, it's not better. I can hear you now.
Oh yeah. Well. Yeah, here we go. Zero Hype Guy Smith is our featured guest here for this evening for episode number 49 of the Falls Count Everywhere podcast. I am Rough Cut Rick Ruby, and to the right side of that camera is Mr. GQ Matthew Wayne Schuyler, which GQ, we've been through kind of a rough patch here at the end of August and to start this month of September. And of course, we did replay our featured show we had back in March, along with a beloved brother that has suddenly passed away about a week and a half ago with Izzy Blackwell. Yeah, it's just Izzy was just a tremendous talent. Even though his career only lasted about 8 or 9 months, he really made his impact known throughout the Midwest.
8 years.
Oh, 8 or 9 years, yes. You can tell it's been a long day for me. I do apologize. So, yes. And that is the
First title that he won with as Izzy Tempest with Hardcore Eric Lee, who became Harsh, the Interstate Wrestling Association tag title.
There you go.
Somebody, we're not going to say the name, but
yeah, it's all right. Yeah, but yeah, then they go on. They went on to have success.
Been in my collection ever since the company closed down.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, I've known about companies closing down and holding on to titles very well myself. But but no, he was great. For me with or Harsh with Power Trip. With having their stint in MMWA. I'm sorry, MVWA. Excuse me. Gosh, this is like the third Monday of the week. I swear, I can't get over it. Somebody please help me. But yeah, I'm sure tag team champions in MVWA. Yeah, there we go. And
oh yeah, we got some new effects on the show. It was supposed to have been 2 weeks ago, but
oh yeah,
it was on.
Oh yeah, well we got some fun stuff on there. Oh my, yeah, some good stuff. So no, Izzy was really great. Of course, having a really good run with the Hardcore Wrestling Association up in Iowa, and then of course also with Max Pro Wrestling that was here around the just on the other side of the river. Let's see, Jerseyville, Cahokia. They went up throughout those towns along the Mississippi on the Illinois side, and of course he was their heavyweight champion. Retired in 2006. But he endured many battles, and just a really great guy. Every time that you would see him, I mean, he would guide talent or always give us advice, especially when it comes to with Cottage Hills and anybody else he would run into, even at the RCW shows, which of course was a member of the 2018 RCW Hall of Fame, and at least he got his good recognition for that. And there's not really anything negative you can say about Izzy at all, GQ.
Not at all, other than now I'm seeing double for some reason down below. Anyway, no, I mean, the only negative things me and Izzy could ever talk about was the wonderful road trips to Indianapolis that always went wrong. Whether it was a 2.5-hour layover on the highway because of a semi truck that was on fire, or of course, going out to dinner with Beast and watching him scare the waitress, or almost dying on the highway coming back from Indianapolis with the snowstorm. Every time we're spinning and every time we're facing the opposite direction, we see sun.
Oh man.
And it's no secret that he smoked the funny stuff. And as soon as that happened, I lay down in the back because I wasn't feeling good as is. And luckily I was downwind because it was like, London fog in the front seat.
Right.
He wasn't driving. It was my friend Jason, but he wasn't driving.
Oh my God. Woo. Shoot. I'd like to see who's all on here this evening. Like I said, we're broadcasting live. And it's very funny. Yeah, you know how things can go so crazy at times. You know, you kind of have to take a step back and just kind of realize what's all happening. I mean, we had a great appearance in Branson, and then all of a sudden it just started doing a downhill from there. So, which we will get to talk about some of that Branson show with our upcoming guest later on here in a little bit. But no, Izzy was really a great guy. Yeah. We're reliving one of the old primetime dramas here, aren't we? When we see a hat like that. Well, back in the 80s, just saying. Either that or you got.
I know the one we're about.
Yeah, okay. It takes a while. It took a while. It's taken a while with me with a lot of things here today, so it's not gonna not gonna matter. But also with Chris Enns, he's been. He was definitely he had a good several years in the business before he ended up retiring, and a lot of the hardcore style that he liked doing, and he definitely he sacrificed quite a bit, and it's a shame what happened. Knowing that I seen him earlier in the year. I saw him last June at the IEW show. That was the last time I seen him. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, he's over ringside on the right.
This was before the show, before anybody thinks that we had kids like that wrestling on the show. But he was just out there. He was enjoying having a good time, and you see him. There's a couple other pictures I can't find right now, but to where I'm standing next to him while he's sitting in the crowd, and we're just talking about everything.
Oh yeah. He definitely like you said, it's good that some of the guys that are not active in the ring, at least around this area, still get out to shows, and they just want to see still how the business is carried today, because guys like that care, and I know that Chris did care, and it's a shame.
As I've told people, I actually had a hand in training him for a while, and he learned a lot then, and he kept that knowledge. At least had a lot of respect for the business and everything that happened before and after. So
so he did learn a lot. So but yeah, with both those guys, now I know that there's been an announcement of a celebration of life for Izzy that was just made today. We'll have more details on that. I meant to get that ready, but it's not going to happen until September 19th. So we'll still have time, but I know it's going to be at a park underneath a couple of pavilions over in Granite City. We'll get you more details on that for those who want to join with the celebration of life with Izzy Blackwell. That will be on our itinerary next week for certain. We'll have details panned out here for you. Before we get added on here to our, but definitely rest in peace for the brothers of Izzy Blackwell and Chris Enns. And definitely we'll see you on the other side someday. But right now, I want to go ahead here and first off, I thought I had my my thing's ready to go, but I guess I didn't here. Give me 1 second. Boy, the thing is, oh boy, there we go. I think I'm ready. I think I got this up and running here. So sorry about that. Yeah, I think so. There we go. Sure. There we go. Let's go ahead with the window. There we go. Let's talk about our upcoming shows here, shall we? Here we go. Of course, every Sunday, use the Cottage Hills Wrestling Alliance at 127 West MacArthur Drive in Cottage Hills. Doors open at 3, bell time's 3:30ish or so, whenever they can get going. Adults $10, kids $5. Yeah, so that's the kind of shows will be, of course, in action this coming Sunday.
And I've said a lot of good stuff about them lately. You got to give credit that's due. They're probably the only person to actually tell the truth about the time start.
Yeah.
3:30-ish,
Ish. Yeah. Or on MMWA, kind of Broadway time, when Tony was running things down there, Low Dynamite era. So, so our next show where we're talking about is this coming Saturday, September 18th. We will backtrack a little bit with SICW and with Flash Flanagan meeting at Telecon as the main event. Gil Rogers and Gary Jackson defending the SICW tag team titles against another members of the TCO camp with the King Chris Hargis and Ken Casa. And of course, that will be at the East Carondelet Community Center. Doors open at 6, bell time is at 7. And we're going to backtrack a little bit with IEW. There actually will be a new Canton, Illinois this Saturday. And of course, Saturday, September 18th, couldn't get the updated artwork for that. But they will be at the Granite City Elks Lodge there again.
That says September 25th on the poster.
Right. Yeah, well, I said I don't have artwork. If you're listening, jerk, I don't have artwork for it because they need to kind of update that, or else I'm going to be hot water, kind of. So that's why I'm not putting it on there. So September 25th at Jacksonville, Illinois, Midwest Athletic Center. So doors open at 5 and bells at 6, and basically at the door. $12 for adults, kids, or 5. So many age brackets there. I'm not going to read them off. But hey,
hold on. I'm going to show a comment real quick because I've got some graphics for this now.
Yeah.
Hold on. Wait for it.
Okay. We're not saying that about the poster that's up there.
No,
should have waited for that.
No.
Should have waited for that.
Even though the Outlaws kind of like,
yeah. But hey, ACW coming back presenting Night of Champions. Ladies, that will be in Washington, Missouri, Saturday, September 25th. Bell time at 6 p.m. Doors open at 5. Ladies bull rope match for the ACW Ladies Championship between Miss Hyde and challenger Riley Knox. And let's see, the Lumberjacks returning with their tag team championships, defending them against the newly formed Texas Outlaws. I'm sure you kind of know about that, sir. With the Big Texan and I guess Hawk Elliott. And then we will have the Night Train Bomb will be facing myself and a secret partner, apparently, which it's a secret, so no one's going to know. Gator Smith and Mark Morgan.
Not Derek Davis again. We're okay.
Oh Lord, no! He'd actually have to pay to drive himself from Joplin, and he'll have to sell something on eBay first to make his way up. So, we got any guns we want to show up there?
Hold on, I'll get back to it.
Oh my gosh! There we go.
We call a shoot there, ladies and gentlemen.
There we go. Best 2 out of 3 falls match.
If you want to work for Derek Davis, you end up doing this.
Oh, God. Stop doing those bad ones. So I got this poster up here. It's not going to look good for any of us here. But Mark Morgan and the Gator Smith, best 2 out of 3 falls match.
Winner of that Battle Royal in Branson, too.
Oh, yeah. Gator won. Yeah, he did. He won that Battle Royal, and his reward, he's getting a 2 out of 3 falls match with Mark Morgan. I'm sure that's going to put him somewhere on the contentions list. But the main event,
Mark Morgan and the hair, so
yeah,
handicap match
and the hair. But hey, what about this? A ladder match for the first time in ACW history. Playboy Double H will challenge our guest of the evening here that we have, Zero Hype Guy Smith. He will defend the ACW heavyweight title. That will be hung from the pavilion. So hopefully they got a ladder tall enough to reach it. So that's all I got to hope for. Oh, why did I say that? Why did I say that?
When did Playboy and Guy actually need a step ladder? I mean, because they're short.
I mean, if it was Handsome Hank Morgan and Little Kato, that would have been a step ladder match. But you just hang from the top rope. There you go. Oh, right. Oh my gosh, I am changing. I've gotten so bad here, and our guest has been waiting so patiently. That's why I'm switching to this color here because let's see, does this work? I'm sure it works now, does it? There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Our featured guest of the evening has been a wrestling veteran for over 20 years. He's had several championships throughout the Midwest. Even as a mentor, besides a wrestler, he has had great success. And tonight he comes to us sharing his great career with us. Ladies and gentlemen, we present to you Zero Hype Guy Smith.
Oh,
wait, I don't know the rights to the song. Sorry, so don't shut me
hold
off.
on. Let me actually put him on the show. There you go.
There we go. Guy Smith, what's happening, man?
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
I think you're muted. I think he's dying laughing. But is he? How is he now? With us now?
Can you hear me?
Now we can hear you a little bit. Yeah.
A little bit. Can you hear me better? Maybe I need to get close.
No,
that's a little better. I got to turn myself down a little bit here so I don't overpower you. So, hey, but how are things going?
Going all right, man. How are they going with you?
Oh, another day, another dollar. We don't get it, gotta holler. So, that's how it works around here. I learned that from GQ. So,
yeah. Hey, that's covering me up. Hold on. I'm the guest here.
Right.
Hold on. Okay, well, I got one better. There you go.
Okay, all right, perfect.
Put him right in the silhouette there. Oh, shoot. Crap.
Hold on a second. Ruby,
yeah.
I hear you talking, and all I hear is...
Well, that's about 80% of the program is that.
I was going to say, it's a podcast. Isn't that the whole point?
Yeah, isn't it right?
Right.
I guess no one wants to really hear me, I guess. I don't know.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, blah, blah. Oh, my goodness. So,
well, thanks for having me on, guys. I'm super excited.
Yeah, man. So I guess we're coming off the heels from Branson about a couple weeks ago and finding some success.
Big night for me.
Yeah.
I took the ACW Heavyweight Championship and probably the most grueling match of my career.
Oh yeah. The Brujo Shaman is definitely a something to contend with. He's former tag team champion and a former Night Stalker, and trust me, I don't mess with voodoo, and I don't know what language they speak, and I think my whenever we had kids at our toddler stage, I think they spoke better and they understood with what Brujo had to say. So,
well, Brujo's a beast. He's the real deal. But you put the possibility of gold in front of me, that glory. That's what we're here for. So I'm gonna walk through whatever it takes to get there.
No, yeah. Well, I mean, you gotta achieve some accolades in this business, which understandably so.
You got to grab the opportunities when they come up, otherwise they'll go right past you.
Pretty much.
Absolutely.
No one to blame but yourself.
I know. I could blame management. I lost titles this summer and I never have gotten return matches, so it's whatever.
Oh. I just meant if you let them go past. I mean, there's definitely, sometimes there are people going, "Hey, look over here," while they go past. That's not your fault.
Someone's walking with the board and shaking the pencil, walking past me, going like this. So I don't, don't do that. But that's all right.
Wait, did you say the pencil?
Yes, the pencil. Oh my God. This man's gonna get a shot more than anything I know. You can. I don't care if you show me up there. Oh, we have a lot of fun on the show. Apparently, if you don't know, you haven't seen it before.
I don't have a soundboard access anymore, so I get the video graphics now.
Oh.
Yeah, because I always ask him this.
What are you, a dumbass?
We all know the answer to that. So, move, dang. That's what happens when you smoke a little too much and they have no idea where you're at.
No, I was downwind on that story. Remember that?
Yeah, I was just saying.
That's what they all say. That's what they all say.
Right. You can't get high off secondhand smoke. Right.
I did not inhale. Right. Is that your,
right.
That's your story. Make sure you stick to it.
Ruby.
Yes, I know. Oh man! Speaking of stories, man, let's get on here with the night here because I know you're taking your time out, and we're gonna move along. So, tell us about when you first saw wrestling on TV, and what wrestlers caught your attention that made you a big fan of professional wrestling.
Oh man! Well, so my story is not like most. So many guys get in the business and they just, they were kids watching it growing up and watched it with their their parents or whatever, watch it with their dad or their big brothers. I didn't get into wrestling until high school, in all honesty, because I was in high school during the Attitude Era. And I remember I had a friend who was like the big fan, and he had watched it his whole life and always been a fan. And I mean, I knew who Hulk Hogan was. I knew, I knew about it, but I didn't watch it. And he tells me one night, he's been bugging me. You got to come watch. And then finally, he's like, all right, you gotta come watch. They got this thing now. It's the NWO. Hulk Hogan's a bad guy, and Dennis Rodman's gonna wrestle. And I remember being like, well, I gotta go see that. And I went over to his house, checked it out, and it was crazy. And Rodman was there. I remember seeing Rodman getting choked by the Giant, lifted up off the, as big as Dennis Rodman was, and the Giants got him up over his head in the air. But then we would flip channels and put on Monday Night Raw. And, they told me about Stone Cold. And I'm like, okay, that sounds cool. He flips the bird. He sounds crazy. And The Rock came out and I was like, oh, who is that? That's the one. So like really, really it was The Rock that hooked me in. And then, man, I was there every Monday night watching Raw, watching the NWO on WCW, and that was how I got into it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, you caught it. I mean, you caught it at a good time, and this is how old school I was. I had 2 VCRs going when I had split the coax from my cable feed going into my room, and I was like, one was recording Nitro, one was recording Raw, and I had to make sure that I had at least two tapes for each one.
Yeah.
So in case, I would go back and watch it again, then I could use a spare one. Back in the day of VHS and videotapes. Oh my God.
Long time ago.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Definitely a long time ago. So, oh my gosh. I couldn't believe I did all that. Yeah. I didn't have
we were channel flippers. So we were back and forth, and we'd look for who was picking up, who was catching our attention, and that was always.
We pretty much did it during commercials where I was at too. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's when they only had maybe one big show before you start getting Thunder, and then you got SmackDown, and then you got Velocity, and then you got.
It's nice to have a lot of wrestling, but it's almost like it waters it down, makes it less special, right?
Right. You'd think some big names would learn about that, but or at least get some fresh material. I'm just,
Well, I
just
wonder, it almost seems like certain big names aren't interested in producing a a quality product anymore. They're just how much content can we get out there so we can charge those advertising dollars.
yeah.
But not to get all old and bitter. What do I know? What do I know? They've got millions. I got nothing.
Yeah, I know. No, it's just even if they offered me money today, even if I had the physique to do so, if WWE offered me that, I couldn't put myself through that, knowing what I was built up on. It's a big statement to say, but it's the truth. I mean, because what a lot of it is just they, just kind of get off subject here for a little bit. I mean, they're going to be changing everything over with NXT, and this whole rainbow
Yeah.
confetti sprayed on. I mean, are they going to change the ropes any? Are they, they're going to change? What's that center going to look like? Is Full Sail going to be a graffiti mess, or no way? I think they ended with Full Sail, so I think they're going to go back to the Performance Center. If anything,
Are they going back to? I haven't heard. I haven't really been following it. It's
yeah,
I feel bad a lot of times because when I was coming up and some of the older guys that I would be around and be like, I just can't watch it anymore, and I'd be like, how can you not watch it? That's like a stockbroker telling me he doesn't read the Financial Times. If you're not watching wrestling, if you're not watching Raw, And now I don't watch it. I don't watch Raw. I don't watch NXT. I don't watch AEW. I can't watch any of it.
Well, I just watch as a comparison, but Raw is only on in the background if I want to go to sleep. But which always
I
seems
use
to
your
work.
matches, Ruby.
Yeah, or even your promos, GQ. How's that? Bang bang. How's that? Oh my. So what point? I know you started watching in high school, but at what point in your life made you realize that your dream was to become a professional wrestler?
So it was kind of a gradual thing, honestly. I was away at college. I was going to Lincoln Christian College at the time, and it was my first year there. And instead of spring break, they require all their students to take a missions trip. And I took this missions trip that we went up to Canada, and we were going to do some missionary work, some service work in Canada. But it was a long drive. We drove, and on the way, I picked up a World of Wrestling, a WOW magazine.
Yeah,
and they had there was an article in there about Windy City Pro Wrestling and the school that they had, and talked about I remember Steve Boz and some of the other trainees and up and comers that they had there. And that was like the very first time I was kind of like, well, this is something I can learn how to do. Because if you watch Raw, everybody has either been doing it forever, or they have some kind of like professional sports background. I mean, JR would talk all the time about The Rock at University of Florida, and they would talk about where Stone Cold played. So it just seemed like this thing that just kind of materialized for these pro athletes. But when I started thinking about like, oh, I could actually go to a school and do this kind of thing. And then when I came back from that missions trip, there was actually a school had opened in my hometown, and I had a couple friends that were doing it. And I was like, well, got to go give this a try. And then once I actually got in and started learning and doing it, the fire was lit. And it was just like, this is where I got to go. This is what I got to do. This is it for me. And then it just went from there.
Wow. So for Windy City Wrestling, so that ought to be interesting with an interlude coming up with what GQ's got for you.
So what was the school in your hometown that you had said about, and who trained and taught you a lot of the ring basics?
Okay, so the school in my hometown was, at the time, it was called the Midwest Wrestling Alliance. and it was just a couple guys. They had gone up to train with the LWF in Chicago, which is where like what CM Punk came out of there, and it was the Fed that he started at, and so then they were the ones showing me the basics. A guy, Rob Miller, who wrestled under the name Rip Mystic, and another guy, Tom Marson, who still wrestles now. They were the guys who kind of taught me the basics and showed me how to get started.
Okay. Ruby,
Sorry,
we can't hear you.
Can you hear me at all?
I
Now
can
we
hear
can.
you.
Okay. Yeah, I had some interludes here. Oh, let me check. Okay, no, my mic level's good now. Sorry, I had to turn it down because someone was trying to get my attention through my studio. So
What?
I'm only in here every Thursday night, but moving on. So who did you face in your first match, and what memory stands out in your mind the most about it?
So, my very first match was with a guy named Big Nasty, and he was a guy that I had gone to high school with, and he was big. He was bigger than me, and I'm not a small guy. And I was 2 weeks in when I was thrown into my first match. I guess the biggest thing was just like the biggest memory I have was that feeling beforehand that like, oh, I got this. I've been training 2 weeks. I'm ready for this. I got this. And then you get in the ring and you do it for the first time. And when you step out of that ring, you're like, well, I have no idea what I'm doing. I got so much more training, so much more to learn, just like, that awakening that happens. And I think it happens the first time you do it. I've seen so many young guys train over the years, like that realization of your first match.
Mm-hmm.
If you've been training 2 weeks or 6 months going into it, you're like, I know everything. I got this. When you come out, it's a whole different world.
Yep.
That it is. I mean, I've told my story many times here, but I was just so happy when I finally got a chance to bump in the ring, and it was definitely softer than the grass I was bumping on throughout high school. So, it was it was definitely nice to know that. But oh shoot. But if you had to compare your wrestling style to a well-known wrestler, either today or in the past, who would that be?
Ooh. At which point, I feel like my style has changed so much throughout my career. I would probably now the way I wrestle now, I feel like is very adaptive and a little bit more of a brawler. Like I hate to compare myself to like a legend, but I feel like like my style kind of there's a lot of Stone Cold in my style these days.
Aha. Yeah, there you go. That was kind of my style, kind of back then, probably about when I was about a few years into the business.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I used to try so much to incorporate so much. I really idolized Bret Hart, and I really tried to incorporate a lot of technical wrestling into my style. On top of The Rock, there were long years where I tried to kind of mesh The Rock and Bret Hart, and I really tried to be an amalgam of those two because those were my two idols, my two favorites. But as I've learned more about myself and kind of let my style adapt to what works best for me and how I feel the most comfortable, I think I've gravitated a little more towards, a bit more of a brawler, a bit more using my size and my weight to my advantage.
Yeah. Well, here we go. There we go. We're getting our first.
That's the one, man.
Man.
That's
That was against the FPW boards pose right there.
MPW, I thought, wasn't it, or was it MPW?
It was
It
MPW.
would have been MPW.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw that picture when I first saw him. I'm like, is this guy like a aerobics instructor, or why is he? Like, you were fluid in the ring, but it's like, where's this guy going with this gimmick? I'm just kind of wondering.
Man, I didn't have, honestly, I never took time to like really think about a gimmick or what, what kind of, how I wanted to portray that.
Yeah.
I wanted to look athletic, and I wanted to, so that was kind of where I was at with, the headbands and stuff. I never thought of it as an aerobics instructor, but I can see it. I can definitely see it. I was just trying to look, like I said, I guess kind of like an athlete.
No, well, I mean that you did. And if you don't have any ideas about, or even if you do have ideas what you like to do when you first get into business, they're just going to say no, and then you're stuck with shit like this here. So I mean, that's what you're stuck with.
I don't know, man. That's kind of your fault for having that hair. What else were they going to do with you?
I don't know. I mean, because I was looking like yeah, that's
a little better.
That was MPW era right there.
Yeah.
And that was me drunk. So
is that you in the hat?
Yeah. That was me in the hat drunk at a fair. So
nice.
After a match. Yeah, 22, nothing to do. Now let's just get drunk. So
when you're 22, that's all you can do.
Right.
What else are you gonna do?
Yeah, I know, right? I mean, I guess it could just go home, and just drive sober. But
right, save some money. But why would you do that?
Yeah. Oh wait, you got paid back in those days?
I mean, I was working back in those days.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. Wow. Yeah. I think are we already? I think we're already to GQ, aren't we?
Yeah. So, what are some notable names that you worked with throughout your career, and who was your favorite famous wrestler to work with?
Oh, well, let's see. I've worked with Cowboy Bob Orton. I've worked with Dan the Beast Severn. I've worked with Tommy Dreamer. I've worked with Scott Steiner. I worked with man, that might be it. Billy Gunn. I worked with Billy Gunn. I got to tag with him. That was a lot of fun. Very exciting.
Yeah.
Billy was a good guy. Probably my favorite was Tommy Dreamer. I was a huge Tommy Dreamer fan, and so I got to do I got to do a one-on-one match, and he sat down. The other thing, he sat down with me afterwards and kind of gave me some advice, and not a lot of the other guys did that, So I took a lot away from that more than. I mean, the other guys were very friendly, and they would give me a little advice, and it's not like I didn't learn anything from them. But Tommy was the only one who, afterward, actually sat down and was like, "This was great. This was great. This needs work. I don't get this. I could see you doing more like this, and I think you'd have a better." So he really helped me.
Yeah, some stars. I mean, I know Dreamer's good. Dreamer, he's been around. I think he did a fair up around Belleville a couple years back, and he definitely was very pleasant to have around. Very fan friendly and just kind of a cool guy. Go ahead. I'm sorry, man.
No, you're probably. I was just gonna say. I mean, I've never run into any of like the names that have come in, like the big names that have come in and not been cool and professional and friendly and nice to everybody. Like it's only those guys that want to be veterans or think their name. Like those are the ones who come in and give that kind of veteran bad reaction. All the names I've ever worked with have been total pros.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, gosh, I'm trying to think of who are some of the names that I'm trying to think about though that actually came in. I mean, obviously, Bob's always around this area and he's good to work with. But gosh, I was just thinking that somebody was around and was actually pretty intuitive as well as far as helping out. Because right
Thorn?
now it's just who?
Thorn.
Yeah, well, Thorne was good. Um, yeah, Kevin Thorne, but yeah, I
Uh,
could have sworn somebody else though.
I was on a few shows with Kevin Thorne, and he was a cut up.
Yeah.
He was friendly, but man, he was like a wild man in the locker room. He was. Uh,
Oh my God, yeah, I know. Because some of the shows I was there, dude, I don't understand because I saw him because I was like 2 seats down from him when I was at a show like in Jerseyville or something like that, and RCW had booked him. But he was, it was after the match. He was getting down and just sitting chilling, like right after he was done with the main event. When I think like Steve Montana or something like that, and he's like, pulled out, something for refreshment. It's he pulled out a freaking Monster Energy drink and Coors Light and mixed them together, and I'm like, how gross is this shit right here?
Yeah.
I was like, how can you drink that?
I can't drink Coors by itself. I can imagine mixing it with a Monster. Ugh.
Dude, that's like beaver piss.
Yes.
And no, I don't know what that tastes like. So I'm just saying it's
assuming.
it's just an awful beer.
Just assuming.
Oh my God.
I was on one of the shows I was on with Kevin Thorne. We were at like it was in like a theater, but so there's all these props and stuff backstage. They did like community theater or something. I don't know what else went on there, all kinds of stuff. But man, he found like a Muppet in amongst the props, and he was on that Muppet all night. I mean, he was talking and yammering and giving everybody a hard time, and then and he seriously did not set the puppet down until he went out to his match, and as soon as he came back, he had that puppet back on, and it was crazy. It was crazy. He's a cut up, man.
Oh my gosh. That was off of one of my favorite clips off of a Chappelle show. Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Yes.
Or something, man.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. There's something. Oh my God. Oh, that is nuts. I'm sorry. No sane guy would do something like that. I know I wouldn't.
He did not strike me as the same guy, but
Yeah.
I'd made that determination before he found the Muppets, so I don't know.
Yeah. I think this is who I was thinking of. I don't know if you were down at the Hannibal show in October 2 years ago when we actually had Kane and Tom Pritchard on. Tom was really, really good to talk to. Michael Lilly points out here. So Tom Pritchard's always good to talk to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I didn't get much. I was on that show. I didn't get a chance to interact with him much. I mean, unfortunately, I didn't want to bother. I didn't know what he was doing, and I know he was working that night, so I didn't bother him. But he seemed like a pro all night.
Oh yeah.
You know what? I actually agree. I think all of us agree that no sane I'll be the third one to say no sane person has a Muppet.
The gun's coming out again.
Are we calling somebody out?
Yeah.
I don't have a Muppet. It was just at that show.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I always loved the Muppets. favorites. I don't know. I remember watching them.
Yeah,
Watching
but
them growing
that's
up.
yeah, but that's if they're all in the freaking Henson Muppet bunch when they're all doing together. But if you pull one out of your, hey, yeah, yeah, hey, why don't you take a Muppet to a job interview? Let's see how well that goes. I don't have the answers, but hey, this guy does.
I know a few bars that would probably do it anyway.
Yeah, we'll hire the Muppet. You can go home, sir. Oh my
Muppet would
god!
drink less.
Wow.
You would
So,
assume.
Guy,
Yeah.
what would you say was your greatest feud or storyline that you've been involved with personally?
Man. That's tough to pick a feud. Man, I've had so many good ones, and I would be I always have a hard time because I don't want to not mention somebody.
Yeah.
My first big one. So I just kind of default to like my first big one.
All right.
That was with Real World Jeremy at New Midwest Wrestling, and we feuded over the New Midwest Heavyweight Championship. And man, we were like peanut butter and jelly. We just had it where you needed it. It was, we played off each other so well. We had great chemistry in the ring, and it was just really, man, it was right there. And some of the matches we had were that first time where I felt, you feel you feel it working sometimes, right? You feel that magic, and you're just like, everything's hitting, and the crowd is invested in everything that happens. And particularly mine and his big blow off match, our final match was kind of the one where I was like, okay, I can do this. I know what I'm doing. And it was that magic, man. It was the magic that only wrestling can give you sometimes.
That's cool. That's always good. You kind of want to go to your first one, almost kind of like, maybe your first championship or whatever else that you've had, as
Right.
maybe your favorite title too. But having having several throughout a career that's spanned over what 20, 21 years. So
21 years, yeah. I started in 2000, May of 2000. So I'm just past the 21-year mark.
yeah, we're including the years that we had to deal with this a year or so with this pandemic because that's not our fault.
Yeah, I trained nonstop. I was at the we got the Pinfall Academy here in Springfield, so I was in the ring that whole year.
Oh, perfect. And we'll touch on that here in just a bit. So we were talking about promotions here. You mentioned New Midwest.
Yep.
Mentioned MPW, and I know that you've also done Pinfall Wrestling Academy, and now of course with ACW, and you might have others here. But is there any other promotions that we did not mention here that you also worked for? And out of all of those, which has been your favorite promotion that you've worked for so far?
So that's another one. I mean, there's tons that I've done. One or two few shows for. I think there was one old school wrestling in Kentucky.
Oh yeah.
ASW in Arkansas, NEW in Tennessee, Fire Pro in Indiana, and tons of others. I mean, a lot of them have just left my brain.
Oh yeah.
To say which ones are my favorite is tough. New Midwest, man. New Midwest was it just had this group of guys that we were all the same age. We were all hungry. We were all working for something, and we were all in it together. And it was really, I always compare it to like being in a frat, like in a fraternity. So that obviously has some special memories. My home base now is Pinfall Wrestling Association, and they've been so great to me, man. And we've really built something together, and they have a great crew there. And MPW was kind of my first home away. It was the first place where I went out and got booked, and then got booked consistently, and then got used for stuff. But I'm really glad that I'm at ACW now, because ACW is a lot better, with a lot of the same guys. That is what I really liked about going to MPW. So to pick one would be tough. I'm really happy with the places I'm working right now. And we should probably mention American Hostile Wrestling. I'm the champ there too right now. So
Oh yeah.
I'm having. They've been a great promotion. They kind of I went down there on a one shot, not sure what was going on, and they kind of opened the doors to me, and I've had a blast with them several times. So definitely appreciate working with those guys.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So I mean, you've got some gold around you now for two different promotions, and I mean, it's kind of good to kind of get back, and you and I can attest that it's tough to. I mean, it's a pain to get licensed in Missouri, where it's a state where it's regulated, but when you're finding promotions that are actually doing, it seems like the promotions in Missouri seem to work harder to try to put on a decent show.
Yep.
And because trust me, it's definitely not a cheap penny to throw down a show in Missouri.
Right. Well, I mean, regulation automatically, thins the herd some, and not that it doesn't, not that some people can't get through the cracks, but it definitely weeds out those guys. In Illinois, there was a long time after they deregulated it where we had probably 8 promotions running in my area, and sometimes some of them would pop up and run like 3 shows and then be gone for 6 months, and then pop up and run 3 more shows. And some of them would just constantly, they'd get in a little building and just run terrible shows over and over again. And there's definitely, deregulating just allows anybody to kind of jump out there and do whatever they want, whether they're trained, whether they put any work into it. So
it's like I said, Kentucky is a regulated one. I think Oklahoma still regulates. I think there's probably maybe about 5 or 6 more only, though. That's the thing, though. It's there's not that many. Not even 25% of the entire nation is not is only regulated. Everything else is not. It kind of makes you wonder, though, who can just, if they have money, they can just throw stuff together. But people don't realize here, there's a lot behind just renting a building and bringing a ring in, and then trying to sell tickets. There's a lot more than that. You also got to deal with insurance. Definitely, if you're a venue, you definitely would want to be. You want to make sure that the promotion is bringing in insurance to cover you instead of you covering them. So, but that is definitely a determining factor. And I will say that ACW has been really working hard to put on quality shows, and also to do smart booking. Not just throwing, hey, we got to wrestle, like every weekend, or we got to find, we just got to find something to do. Trust me, it takes a lot of work to put. It's more quality than quantity. That's why I always tell people, it's not because I've got a bump card now, but at least that's what people say. I got a bump card. You don't know what that means? Go look it up. Google's got the answer for everything. People, everybody's putting things on the damn internet these days.
Yes.
So
probably on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
So since you have experience as a coach and trainer in this business, what characteristic or fundamental element do you feel is missing with today's pro wrestlers' performance, and what would you do to make the changes needed?
Man, I could go a full hour on that. Okay.
Touch the
I,
most important stuff if possible. If it's most important, though. I mean,
I think the most important stuff. First of all, I think they do too much. Um, it's almost like doing moves have replaced crowd interaction, and I think that is the main thing. And I almost understand it because it is easy to quantify a move. You know if you've done the move, you can learn how to do the move correctly, and then you can say, well, I know how to do this many moves. Crowd interaction is something you have to. It's not concrete, and it's not necessarily something I can give somebody some guidelines, and I can give somebody some advice, but for them to go out and really capture the attention of the crowd, they got to go out there and try it and see what happens, and take some risks sometimes, and sometimes you need to go out there and do the wrong thing to learn, like, oh, that doesn't work. And I think that insecurity, it's easier to just go out there and, well, do this move. I know how to do this move. I
yeah.
think so. I think that's one of the main things. And just, man, less is more. That's such a guys. The guys today want to do everything, and you can't do everything, and you shouldn't do everything. In fact, what do they say? Always leave them wanting more. None of the modern wrestlers ever leave anybody wanting more now. It's just they all want to do everything they know how to do all in one match, and there's never any like, well, maybe we'll wait till next time. Maybe we'll save this. Maybe we'll, hold this back. We'll just run up to the line, and then that way next time we can cross the line. There's nothing like that. They just got to get their shit in, man, all of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Um, to me, it's like, and I agree with being less is more, because the whole thing is that you're trying to do, maybe the thing I don't like is a whole big spot show, you know. And to me, I'm not south of the border. I don't weigh less than 200 pounds. I don't need to flip. I don't need to keep reverse and reverse, reverse. Counter, reverse, counter, counter, reverse, reverse the counter, counter, reverse the counter, and then hurricanrana, and then dive.
Right.
So, and then that spot takes 1 minute.
Yes.
So
As fast as they can.
you're right.
Well,
Man, no, I totally get it.
well, I think too, though, it's a bit of the legends who were in this business they were wrestling every night, 7 days a week, twice on Sunday, right? So
Yeah.
they, out of necessity, they had to learn how to do this with the least, how can we get the most out of the least, because I got to go out and I got to do it tomorrow. So many of the guys today, I mean, they're lucky, they're lucky if they're getting 2 matches a month. So when they get those 2 matches, they want to cram everything into it. This is their one shot, and they just get in there and they go overboard. I think it's a
Right.
way, kind of a way the business has shifted. But we should still have that mindset of like, how can we get the most out of the least? Because then we can make it infinite.
Yeah, I know. Well, and the thing of is, when you have like shows, maybe sometimes you'll have one show a month. You'll have one show for that month. Sometimes, in my case, in a couple months, I'm going to have 5 shows. So it's like, even if you don't, and I look at reports like this, try not to make the same, because you're only going to, if a match is good, and you're really putting your all out there, you'll be lucky if you go 15 minutes. You'll be lucky, especially if you're in a non-championship contest. But see, the thing is, you should have a whole vocabulary of moves, and not just moves and just go do. You should.
What there
Here we
needs to
go.
be is a lot less of this.
Right. But the whole thing is, have a whole vocabulary of moves, but it's a whole vocabulary of moves that you can do without making your opponent try to learn something. Because we all of us know how to, we basically know with our natural gravitational pull, we know how to fall one way or the other. Okay?
Right.
But the thing is, don't try to do something if it's going to make you look ugly, if you haven't done it before, especially when it comes to involving the head or any other joint in your body that could put something in jeopardy. Because not only you can hurt them, most importantly, you probably could hurt your opponent, but then you're going to end up looking bad in the long run too. You
Right.
can't do that crap. So if you're not trained to do it, don't do it. That's why I never moonsault. That's why I never hurricanrana. That's why, like, oh, well, Bam Bam Bigelow did a moonsault. Well, good for Bam Bam Bigelow, bless his soul. But God, Lord, so he looks like the largest Mario Brothers flame ball that got thrown at you. So what? No one cares. He had talent,
Right. Well, and the other thing is too, like, that's what made him Bam Bam Bigelow. Like, if everybody just gets up and does it, then it's not special when anybody does it anymore. So then what's the point?
Right. Mm-hmm. Exactly. You got to make something unique and something that's
Right.
your style.
Yep.
Not try to be. Obviously, we can't get out of clotheslines or elbows, but we could try to alter how we could deliver it,
Right.
or how if someone gets hit. Are they going to fall down, or are we going to make them flip over?
Right.
All depends on how we deliver and how they're going to be able to take that fall. That's how it is. Yeah, but it's you got to have your style, one way or the other. You just can't. It's not a cookie cutter business. You
Right.
know, have something that's different. That's what makes this business special. Is you got to have something unique, not just not with just your how you present your gimmick and how you are, who you are, what your background is, and everything else. But that has to reflect that way inside the ring too.
Well, yeah, and it's so. If you think about the times wrestling has exploded, like in the '80s and in the Attitude Era. Everybody was something different, and those rosters, it was like a circus. You had vampires and the New Age Outlaws and DX running around, and then you had the bikers like 8 Ball and Chains, or and the Undertaker, and then you had Stone Cold and Bret Hart. It was, everybody had their own thing. Everybody was different, and they were not like anywhere else you could go. They weren't like movie stars. They weren't like pro athletes. And, nowadays all the wrestlers like that, it's lost that element for a big, a lot. Now it's just, everybody's just kind of, sort of like they all want to be mixed martial artists. They're all just like, kind of celebrity light, they're not famous. They're not characters. They're not necessarily something that stands out. They're just, oh, here comes, this guy. Here comes Adam Cole. I like Adam Cole, but, Adam Cole. Adam Cole, I'm not trying to, dump on Adam Cole, but when you look at Adam Cole or Kyle O'Reilly or AJ Styles, all guys I like what's different about them? You know what I mean? Like there's not the circus. They all are kind of going for like the same aesthetic, the same kind of character. They're the same kind of character.
Right. I know. And just by that, with those guys, what I could think of is the only thing that makes them unique is just their name and how they, and quote unquote, how they perform.
Right.
but what's their background? Is there a certain background to this guy? It was just three names, or like with AJ Styles, phenomenal. But it's like, what's the gimmick behind them? I'm the shit. My nothing stinks on me, or that's what it kind of
Right.
feels like. But I think someone should have, everybody should be.
Well, if you take those guys, right? Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, and AJ Styles, and look how they compare. But then you take Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Jake the Snake Roberts and I don't know, Rick Rude. Like, man, all those guys are so vastly different, such dramatic character shifts. You know what I mean? That carnival aspect of wrestling, I think, was always something that helps it explode, and it doesn't have that right now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it doesn't. It doesn't. At least in WWE. But I was the one who actually did see the whole All Out pay-per-view in full, and
Yeah.
I mean to tell you, it felt really good because it really felt like a true professional wrestling show.
Mm-hmm.
It had something different to offer in every single match.
Yeah. Okay.
It did. And I mean, like I said, some are calling it like the best pay-per-view seen in all of wrestling in 10 years. So,
So I didn't watch that one, and
well, you missed out. But I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, I had ways of seeing it, and I was able to see it, and I'm glad. And the show was, well, I mean, if you count the buy-in match, there was like over 4 hours of show altogether, and wasn't a dull moment
no,
from top to bottom.
that's
I
a
mean,
good review.
and this,
I've heard good reviews. I haven't watched much AEW, man, and I
yeah,
watched CM Punk's return, and
yeah, that
that's
was
the
the pop of the freaking millennium right now. Was that?
man.
That
Yeah.
was the pop. I mean, between that and of course Daniel Bryan, but
Yeah.
as far as like
Brian Danielson.
oh, Bryan Danielson, yeah, well, I'm talking WWE, but we're talking with AEW. That was AEW's biggest pop of all time so far in that company, and yeah, let me just tell you, I didn't know. I honestly didn't watch much of the Dynamite shows, and even I started watching the Rampage shows, but I didn't really see all of an AEW pay per view before then. But yeah, those guys knocked it out of the park last Sunday. So
But I watched their first one, the first All In, I think it was,
yeah,
and it it was one of the first times, like it was so outside of my wrestling mindset that it was one of the first times I was like, oh, has the business passed me by? Is it that far beyond? Is it that different already for me? And that's kind of why I don't watch AEW, but I've been hearing good things, and a lot of the guys that are showing up there now, it's probably about time for me to give them a second look, I'll be honest.
oh yeah, and I had to as well. And trust me, there's more people over there now, and yeah, it was just yeah, it's pretty. It's definitely pretty decent. I actually missed. I forgot why I missed Dynamite Wednesday or yesterday. I forgot what I did. I'm
It was
I'm
just
probably
last night, bro.
yeah, that was yeah. Dynamite was last night. Yeah, I don't know. I totally forgot. You know, I was doing something. Trust me, I'm always doing something.
Ah, sure.
Yeah, yeah. I have no idea. Um, so, Guy, out of all the time that you've been involved with professional wrestling inside and outside the ring, is there any moment or accolade that you would consider as your greatest achievement?
Um, man, I mean, anytime, anytime you're a champion, that's an honor. I've I don't know, man. That's hard for me to answer, just because there have been a lot of moments. My moments come in the ring, and
Yeah.
I mean, I appreciate everything that happens outside the ring, and I've had companies, I've been given the awards for best match, and I've been given when I hold the championships, I take that as an honor and a responsibility to then uphold it. But for me, the moments that are really my accolades is when I'm in the ring and the crowd is with us and everything's rocking. You can feel the crowd shifting with what you're doing, and you've got them right there in the palm of your hand, and you know how to do this thing. This is it. This is what I'm here for. Now let's bring it home, type of thing.
Oh, okay. All right.
So to start signaling those out, that'd be tough for me.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Right. Almost kind of like a question that would kind of be, like after you're done with, with in ring competition,
Yeah.
if you look back, what was the best, something of that nature. But if I mean, there's still more years to come, so you never know. You might even experience it yet.
Yeah.
With
I'm not done yet.
nope. Nope, far. I know. We definitely still have some years to go. Um, but during your time in the business, like I said, ever since the year 2000, what wrestling veterans have you looked up to and gotten advice from the most to help you to help with your knowledge and who you've learned to respect the most?
Um, Man, one of the downfalls of the Central Illinois area where I came up through is that we did not have many veterans. We didn't really have any veterans. I mean, I'm one of the oldest guys in the area, and so there was not many guys that we had to look up to like that. Guys I've met outside of the area, Harker Dirge is a guy. He's a worker who was just a good guy, and I can't say that he really taught me a lot about wrestling, but he was, the way he carried himself in the locker room. I learned a lot from that guy. I always appreciated Searcher. He was always kind of a guy who would not. He never held anything back. I always appreciated that. If he thought something, if he thought you would benefit from it, he said it. He didn't wait for you to come ask. He didn't worry about hurting your feelings. He didn't, if he thought he could help, if he thought he saw something good, bad, or other, he would say it. And he still says it. And I always appreciate that. And, that's definitely something I've taken a lot from that, and something that I try to do with, guys I'm in the locker room with. Funnily enough, one of my biggest lessons in wrestling came from, and life, came from Big Bad Ben, who used to run Gateway Championship Wrestling.
Yeah.
Okay. And I remember we were getting ready for a match one night, and everything getting put together the way it was. None of it was coming together the way it needed to, and he kept saying, like, I don't understand. I don't understand what we're doing. And Big Bad Ben was kind of this guy that was like, he seemed like he had a high opinion of himself. I don't actually know Big Bad Ben. I shared a few locker rooms with him. Excuse me. He seemed like a guy who had kind of a high opinion of himself. He seemed older, and of course I was a lot younger at the time and kind of insecure, and that like I was the type that, you know, I would not speak up because I didn't want to look stupid, you know. And to see this guy who was willing to just sit there and say, I don't understand, this doesn't make sense to me, I was like, oh well, oh, so sometimes it's, you got to say you don't understand what's going on, and nobody's looking at him like he's an idiot right now. So if you don't understand something, speak up. And I've taken that forward into my life, and it has served me well, because there are times where I would have walked into stuff I had no idea what was going on, except I stopped and I was like, hey, I don't get it, and served me well.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and then, and of course, God rest his soul, Big Bag Ben, one of the in the 2016 class of the Midwest Independent Wrestling Hall of Fame. And yeah, and you know, and along with Ben too. I mean, Ben came across as, you know, like, hey, you know, either, you know, he was either going to razz you, or, you know, he just was going to do with whatever, because he just didn't give a damn. But, you know, he, you know, as years got, you know, he seemed to mellow it out a little bit more. But you
Yeah.
know,
Well, like I said, I didn't know him very well, and you know, just for him to, because I knew he had run Gateway for a while, and I knew he had time in the business, and just for him to be willing to, you know, kind of be vulnerable enough to say, like, I don't understand what's going on, we got to do something else, you know, like, I don't get it, guys, what's the deal? I respected
yeah.
that.
But yeah, this is from a guy here too, that he wanted, when the MRW started up, he was trying to recruit me and change my gimmick. As if the rock and roll gimmick was enough, he wanted to change my gimmick to where I was like some like attempted porn star with you know, with a sock in my freaking tights. So I mean, I don't
Well,
get it. That's why I'm like, hey, I don't get it. Well, what are we
yeah,
doing? I don't get it.
let's,
You know.
let's point in that.
Yeah, I was supposed to be the lover, and I have
Well,
no idea what. And it's like that's kind of like an enhancement job talent that I
I
really
was
don't
offered
want
the
to
same
take.
gimmick too, but I didn't need the socks.
Oh Lord, here we go. Yeah,
see what you did? I hope you're happy.
yeah, yeah. It's more like that '80s commercial where, you know, where's the beef? Oh,
Okay, so yeah, I'll ask.
Anybody remember that? How old is your audience here? I bet none of them remember that.
oh,
Anyway,
Lily
let
was
it
playing
go.
tennis with the dinosaurs, but you know.
Let it go. Uh, so final question, right?
Yeah.
So, what memorable road stories or fan experience you can share that are funny or have stuck with you?
What was that? I'm sorry, you were kind of cutting out on that.
What are some memorable road stories or a fan experience you can share that are funny or have stuck with you?
Ooh. Um, man. Memorable. Let's see.
Or something funny, you know.
Something funny.
You know.
I don't know, man. I'm not a very funny guy. I just kind
Oh, God. Oh, it's going to start storming here in a few minutes.
well, you know, I've had a lot of. I went through a long time where I don't want to say I was an attitude problem, but I got pretty good at this pretty quick, and I worked very hard at it. And there were a lot of guys who didn't want to work as hard as me, and they, let's see, they would talk about how I was conceited, how I was, you know, politicking my way or whatever, you know, all the stuff that gets said.
Oh,
And
well, lovely.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it turned me into a bit of an attitude problem because if somebody, especially when I was younger, I've mellowed out a lot, but when I was younger, I was definitely the kind of guy that if somebody called me arrogant, I was going to show them like, you don't know what arrogant is. I will teach you arrogant. And so we started going up to this place, Fire Pro Wrestling, and there was a guy there, and I'm not going to say his name, but he had been doing it like 14 years, and he was this guy that was basically this guy was big, he was out of shape, he was pretty immobile, and they had a bunch of guys up there who kind of propped him up so that he could continue to do this thing. This is so I get up there and we're working with the company and we're up there and kind of locker room etiquette is when you arrive, you go around and you shake everybody's hand.
Right.
Well, I'm not. When I get there at this show, I go around, I shake everybody's hand, and I go to shake this guy's hand, and like he barely looks at me, right? And he kind of has planted himself over in the corner, and he's just handling his stuff. And when I come up to shake his hand, he just barely throws me. He barely throws me a handshake. Okay. We'll finish on the leopard joke. Hold on. let me finish this. This is one of my big road stories, and it's not funny, but it's a lesson.
Yeah. Right.
And so I took that as disrespect, right? And so as I kind of get to know all the guys around there, the first few shows I'm there, I shake his hand, I let him show me barely show me any acknowledgement. And then we're, probably like the third time there, I'm like, if this guy isn't even looking at me, I'm not gonna bother him. Maybe I'm bothering him. He's getting ready for the show, whatever, and I'll just leave him alone. So I go there. It's I don't shake his hand. I say hi to everybody else, and not even everybody else, man. There are people that come and go, and it's easy to miss somebody. So I had been in the business long enough at that point that I kind of didn't fret, like, oh my gosh, did I shake everybody's hand? I shake everybody I see, and if I miss somebody, I don't fret over it. So that night, I don't shake that guy's hand one time, and that night, like after the show, he calls a meeting and he gives this whole big speech about respect and showing respect and in his day this and that and there's no respect in the locker room and he expects everybody who's at this show to show the respect, and like I'm sitting there and I know who he's talking about, you know what I mean? And I know and I'm like, okay, this guy, all right, apparently it was, apparently he did notice me, whatever, right? So we get through this meeting. He also was mad because some guys had their like girlfriends in the locker room, and he, I don't know, wanted to walk around naked or something. I don't know. He had several complaints that he made at the time. So when we get to go, we get up to make the rounds to shake everybody's hand to say bye, and I make a point to go over and shake his hand and say, goodbye. Barely even glances up at me, touches my palm, touches my hand, barely glances up at me. And I'm like, all right, we'll see how this goes. All right. Cause I'm young, I'm angry. I'm not. So we leave. Next time I'm up there, don't shake his hand. Don't go near his corner. The next probably 2 times I'm up there, I don't. And then the promoter comes up to me and he's like, hey, man. And he was a great guy. The promoter was a great guy. And he's like, I really need you to shake this guy's hand. And I'm like, no, I'm not gonna. And he's like, "Oh, come on, man. He's been doing this 14 years. He's earned that respect." I said, when I do, I explained it. I said, when I do this, when I go to shake his hand, he doesn't even show me the respect of looking up at me. And why does he deserve more respect than me? And at the time, I'd been in, I don't know, 7-8 years. So
Yeah.
it's not like I was a new kid and he had been doing this 20 years, but why does he deserve more respect than he gives? And the guy's like, "Oh, come on, he's been doing this 14 years, blah, blah, whatever." And I said, "All right." Because I like the promoter. I said, "I will shake his hand for you, not for him." And he was like, "Oh, yeah, whatever." But when I go to leave, I go to shake this guy's hand. I come up, and when he comes to shake my hand, he does the same thing, just trying to, barely recognize me, just stick that hand up there for me to shake. And I grab it, and I grab it tight. And I don't let him pull away. and he looks up at me and like shocked, like, "What are you doing? Let go of my hand." And I tell him, I'm like, "Hey, I'm shaking your hand right now for," and I'll say the promoter's name. Botch was the promoter's name. Great guy. I hold on to this guy's hand and I say, "Look, I'm shaking your hand for Botch. You show me zero respect. The times I have come and shaken your hand, you barely even look up at me. So if you want the respect that you think you deserve, you got to give some, man." And he said nothing. He just was like when you have a kid who has never been disciplined before, and you tell them no for the very first time. That's the look this guy was giving me. And I let go of his hand and I leave. And we were back after that. When I would come to shake his hand, he would always look up at me and acknowledge me, at least. And I took from that, that was the kind of thing. First of all, I hate the idea of veterans. I think it builds this sort of expectation that is not always deserved. I think if anyone ever tells you they're a veteran, they are not the guy that deserves that veteran respect. And this is kind of where I developed that mindset. But what I learned is sometimes people need a wake-up call. And if you carry yourself with respect, you can get that respect. Like that respect comes if you make it come. And after that, it wasn't that like I made sure I have never expected anybody to show me a certain kind of respect. I carry myself and treat everybody else with the respect that they deserve. And ever since that, I've never had a problem feeling like I needed respect or like I wasn't getting my respect. You know what I mean? So that's my long road story that has stuck with me, because I take it everywhere, man. And if you carry yourself and treat people, if you carry yourself with self-respect and treat people with respect, they give that respect back. They almost can't help it. You know what I mean? They almost can't help it.
Right. Now you we'll come back to here, but you said there was a leper joke.
Okay. All right. So I actually can't take credit for the leper joke. The leper joke came from my friend Toga Steve, and sadly we lost Toga Steve several years back. But Toga Steve was this guy, and he showed up and started training with us. And for the first 6 months, at least, he said nothing. He would not speak. He would not, except to maybe take, did I do this right? Did I do that right? Except for what was being trained. He did not speak. He did not really socialize with any of us. Nothing. He was just there training. And then 6 months in, he opens his mouth, and this is the first thing that he says to all of us as a group. So this leper goes to a baseball game. And he tries, he knows he's a leper and he doesn't want to gross anybody out. So he tries to find a place to sit by himself. But it is a very busy game. Everybody is there this day. Finally, he finds a seat, but it's, in a group of people sitting next to somebody. As he comes to sit down, he says to this guy, "Excuse me, I'm a leper. Do you mind if I sit here?" And the guy's like, "Oh yeah, go ahead, have a seat." He says, "Okay, I know I'm kind of gross. If you start to get grossed out, just tell me, I'll leave. I don't want to offend you." He said, the guy says, "No, it's fine. Have a seat." So the leper sits down. A couple innings in, the guy sitting next to him starts just like throwing up. And leper's kind of like, "Oh my gosh," but okay, obviously I'm grossing you out. I'm going to go ahead and I'll leave. And the guy says, No. It's not you. Stay, enjoy the game. It's not you, I promise." Okay. A few more innings go by. Guy starts throwing up again. Leper's like, "Okay, well, obviously I've offended you, sir. I'm sorry. Thank you for letting me stay as long as you have. I'm going to leave." The guy says, No. Please stay. It's fine. It's a great game. Just enjoy the game. It's not you. I promise it's not you. Leper says, "All right." So we get to the 7th inning stretch, and the guy's got nothing left. He starts dry heaving. He's trying to throw up, and he's got nothing. He's just, racking, coughing. And the leper's like, "Okay, obviously, I'm grossing you out. I'm going to leave." The guy says, No, please stay. The leper says, "Well, honestly, I'm starting to get a little offended. So if it's not me that's making that, what is it?" The guy says, "Well, I didn't want to say anything, but the guy behind you has been dipping his nachos in your back all night."
Oh my God. Oh, woo. Oh my God.
And on that note,
Oh, shoot. Well, I know that where can others find you on social media, Guy?
You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Facebook under Zero Hype. You can find me on Instagram at Zero Hype a Guy. And you can find me on YouTube under JM McCaffrey. JM as in man McCaffrey.
All right, perfect. And just wanted to let everybody know here, just real quick, with the upcoming show here, where you can see him at is Saturday, September 25th, ACW. He will be in a ladder match defending the ACW heavyweight title against Playboy Double H. And that's going to be one with they're going to hang that title from the pavilion. You guys are going to be reaching up to try to grab it. Like I said, hopefully there's like 15-foot ladders or something. That'll be fun.
What do you say? You saying I'm short?
No, I'm just saying.
I'm a pretty tall guy.
I'm just hoping that the rope's not short, because I don't know how. I don't know. That's all I'm saying. Because that'll be something else. Oh, but no, it's gonna be fun. September 25th. So that's a little over 2 weeks from now. So I want to thank Guy Smith, Zero Hype Guy Smith, for being on ACW and also AHCW heavyweight champion. And so awesome to see you again. And of course, I'll see you in Washington, because I'll be there with in tag team action. GQ will be there too.
Awesome.
So yeah,
it'll be a good night. I have a good feeling.
Yeah.
This will actually be my first time in the ring with Playboy.
Oh,
straight up 1-on-1. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh yeah, especially in the ladder match. That ought to be. You what?
If you're gonna go all out.
Well, shoot, I'm surprised that he didn't do this tonight. So.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. So. Oh my goodness! So
well, hey, thanks for having me on, guys. This has been a lot of fun. I love getting on and just talking about wrestling, and I'd love to come back anytime. So thanks for having me, guys.
Awesome, man. That's very much, appreciate it, man. We definitely had some fun. So this has been episode number 49 of the Falls Count Everywhere podcast featuring Zero Hype Guy Smith. And for Mr. GQ, Matthew Wayne Schuyler, I am Rough Cut Rick Ruby. We'll see you next week. Pay attention to our Facebook page for our upcoming guest next week. And so then we'll see you and have a great week. Thanks again for everybody tuning in to tonight's episode of the Falls Count Everywhere podcast. Don't forget our friends at the following: the Searcher and Hide podcast and Outside the Ring STL. The Falls Count Everywhere podcast is an LTX Enterprises production.